Vargas, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time to come do this today. I know this is the last one we're doing while we're here at the Military Influencer Conference. A lot of stuff going on. I'm going to do just a quick intro real quick, just kind of like introduce people who don't know you out there. And then we'll kind of get into the meat and potatoes. Yeah, into the weeds. Yeah. So Johnny Vargas, better known as Viva La Vargas on TikTok and every other platform pretty much, is a military community sensation that reaches tens of millions of accounts every month to convey information about veterans benefits, trending military news stories, and funny military skits to the masses. As a full-time active duty senior enlisted service member transitioning into the civilian world soon, a father of 4 and loving husband, he uses his platform to transform lives at any opportunity that he's given. All right. Well, we're going to get into some real weeds stuff that maybe you haven't talked about on other podcasts. Good. Because I like to get into some nitty gritty details, and we've got the time for it. So where are you originally from?
I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I will never move back there. It's too expensive.
You're from LA?
Yeah, LA, dude. Yeah,
LA.
Just a valley boy, dude, you know.
How long were you living in LA for?
I'd say like the first 21 years of my life.
21 years.
Yeah. It was tough. I mean, I did a short stint in Denver. Like my parents plucked us out of LA. We went to Denver for a little bit, 2 years, and that was weird. And we came back.
Where were your parents from?
They're both, well, my dad was born in Mexico.
Okay.
But you wouldn't be able to tell because he's half Spanish. So he's like super fair skinned.
Oh, like Spain Spanish. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he starts speaking Spanish. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And my mom, she's from LA too. So.
Oh, she's from LA. Okay.
Yeah.
So you stayed in LA for 21 years, you said?
Yeah.
From then, like all through grade school. Did you go to any college there or anything?
I did a little bit. I did some Bakersfield Community College, some LA Pierce Community College. I've got any fans out there, but
yeah.
And then from there I joined the military. I joined the Army.
Okay. What kind of things did you do when you were a kid, like growing up?
So in LA, when you grow up, you're either an actor, a singer, or homeless, or all three of those things.
Yeah. So everybody out there seems like they're just trying to make it in show business or entertainment. And it's like, is the culture out there because of that, what people that are not from there perceive it to be like, would you say? Yeah,
I think in a way, for sure. Like growing up, my mom, my parents threw me in acting, and I did some commercials, some modeling. And then,
what kind of modeling?
Music, just like picture stuff. I don't know, like magazine stuff. I was in a couple things, and mainly I was in 2 Carl's Jr. commercials, but
were you really?
They were in Spanish.
Spanish
and
Carl's Jr.
really
commercials?
Spanish.
What were you doing in the commercial? Like eating a cheeseburger?
They had me dance, and I can't dance either.
Oh, they had you dance?
And then I ate a cheeseburger.
And you ate a cheeseburger?
Yeah. I had to pretend some dude was my dad.
That's not a bad gig, eating a cheeseburger and getting paid for it.
No, I liked it,
Nice.
Yeah, they had a teacher there actually, because like all of us were in school. Okay. And they had a teacher there on set, and they were like going through our homework and stuff, because we were there for like, it was like 2 or 3 days straight.
Oh, wow.
Just to get like this 30-second commercial done. I mean, they film a lot of stuff and then they clip it up, and they do, because some commercials, you see them condensed to like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and 30 seconds. So,
okay. Yeah, makes sense. So you did a little bit of acting, a little bit of, TV.
Yeah, and I was magazines. A recording artist too. I did music.
You did music?
Yeah. That's how I met my wife.
Really? Mm. In LA before you joined?
Yeah. In downtown LA, I was doing a show for Mark Wahlberg's nonprofit, and me and Marvin Gaye Jr., like the third or something, like his grandson. We were doing music in downtown LA, and my wife walked in. At the time, I didn't know who she was. And then she hit me up on MySpace.
On MySpace?
Yeah, she had.
That's wild. So well, let me go back a little bit. Like, what did you do for fun as a kid? Not including like modeling, working. Like, I'm talking about like for fun. Like, what did you do with your friends?
I think it was mainly basketball, video games, and then like walking around the neighborhood, because it was the early 90s. So
yeah, early 90s.
Yeah, like we were playing.
It's not a bad time in America, I guess.
We were playing Pokemon and just walking around the neighborhood.
Playing Pokemon?
Yeah.
Was that like the video game of choice for your time?
Yeah, it was the NES. It was like, so anything Excite Bike. I don't know if you remember that on NES.
On Nintendo?
Yeah, Nintendo.
Oh, regular Nintendo.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember Excite Bike. You know what I played on regular Nintendo was that game Bird Hunt, I think.
Yeah.
Was it Bird Hunt?
Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt. Yeah, Duck Hunt. Yeah. Yeah, because it had like the little Nintendo gun that you would use to like hunt the ducks and stuff. So I play that and like, the Mario Brothers and all that stuff. And then we never had a regular Nintendo, but my mom bought us a Super Nintendo from Sears back in the day. And that was my first game console. Yeah. Yeah. And we played like Super Mario World. I would play, the biggest games I got into, as you can probably tell from some of my tattoos, was Final Fantasy video games, because I really liked stories. Yeah. I really liked a good story, and like there was always a really good storyline and like interesting character development. And
were you a PC gamer at all?
I never really played PC games until my adult life. Like I didn't start playing games on my computer really until last year. Maybe last year, because I never had the money to buy a PC that was strong enough to play games at all, because I just like I was poor when I grew up, so it was tough to afford a good computer that you could actually
do stuff on,
play video games on. Right. Exactly. So that's just kind of how that went. But now I'm able to play video games because I worked hard enough to, save up enough money to buy a decent computer where I can play video games.
Streams, I love. It's fun. Yeah.
Well, and then that's like, I do that because I enjoy it. Like that's what I grew up doing, and I can play with my brother because he streams too. So it's like that's a way for us to like hang out when we can't actually be physically in the same location. So it's kind of a beneficial way, because I can feel like, okay, you're also working, but you're doing something you enjoy at the same time. Yeah. So if you can do something that you're enjoying for work, then it's like it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. I agree.
So anyway, so you played like Nintendo, Pokemon, you played what was the game called?
It was Excite Bike, and then we also played like Ninja Turtles all the time.
Ninja Turtles, okay. was Battletoads for Super Nintendo or regular Nintendo? Do you remember Battletoads?
Yeah, I didn't play that one too much.
You didn't? I played that one a little bit. Played a lot of weird games.
I remember playing NFL Blitz, and it was like,
oh yeah, dude, NFL Blitz. Yeah, was that for N64 though?
Yeah, the first time I played it, I think it was N64, and you could like break people's legs.
Dude, that game, and like the spinning move that you would do, like the juke. Or whatever. Yeah.
Good times.
That was a fun game. Yeah. We had 4 controllers. We'd be rocking that game out. Like we'd be playing 4-player with our friends and stuff. That was fun. Man, that was a different time back when everybody would get together and you'd have one console with 4 controllers plugged into it. So you'd have like 4 screens on the thing. Like either like you play like Mario Kart. That was so much fun. Diddy Kong Racing was another good one.
And then I got a little older and we started having LAN parties with
LAN parties. Yeah. Halo. Yeah. Yeah. When Halo first came out, we'd have an Xbox plugged into one TV in one room, another Xbox plugged into another TV in another room. And then we would just connect them with System Link and have like 4v4.
Those were good times.
Yeah. I remember life was a lot simpler back then.
Yeah. And I remember, I think back then I would like get on a bike in LA and I would just leave. Like I would go to my cousin's house. I didn't have a cell phone. And, my parents were just like, good luck. See it. Hopefully you get there. And I'd bike through, not like downtown LA or nothing like that. It was San Fernando Valley, but bike through the valley and then luckily get to where I was going. It was weird. I don't think I'd let
Was it relatively safe back then to ride around? I mean, it was still LA, but it was like, if you're not going to like Oakland, probably okay. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I think it was safe. It was definitely safe. And I think that the biggest danger was just people on the road. Like it wasn't
drivers.
Yeah. Drivers. It wasn't people that would, potentially like stab me or anything like that. But because again, it's the valley. So people, if you're from LA, they're going to be like, he's not from LA. Cause I'm not from like the rural part, like the rough part of LA. My dad is like, my dad grew up in that area, but we grew up.
What's the rough part of LA in your mind? I just think Oakland, because that's just what you see on TV when you see the police chases and stuff.
I mean, my dad grew up in different parts. My dad grew up in different parts of like Huntington Park and like the Compton area. Like
Compton. Like that's right. Yeah. Compton. Is Oakland in LA or is I just like,
no, that's like near San Francisco. It's up north.
Okay. I'm way off. Sorry. I see this. Obviously I'm not from LA because I don't even know where Oakland's located.
It's all right.
Compton. That's what I meant. Compton was, because that's like what Tupac Shakur talked about and stuff. Yeah.
I remember my dad drove me and my brothers through the projects one time just so we can like see it.
Yeah.
And it was weird.
It was sketchy.
Well, first of all, they know all the cars that go in and out of there and they know that you're not from there.
Yeah.
So I'm just like this little kid in a window and I'm just like, like locking doors and just seeing these people who are like actively dealing like illegal things on the corner.
Doing illegal stuff on the corner.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, there's areas of the country that cops don't typically even go because they know that there's just like nothing good going to come from that, you know. And that's not just that location. There's locations all over the United States. There's rural locations in Tennessee like that like cops don't go to because they're just like there's like biker gangs that live up in these like hollers. Yeah. They stay out of there and stuff. There's other places. I'm sure Detroit's got locations like that. Chicago's probably got places like that as well.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to kind of know your area and stay in safer areas when you're able to. But anyway, so you had a pretty, for the most part, relatively safe childhood. Played video games, went to your friends' houses, played basketball. You went through middle school, high school there in the same area.
Yeah.
San Fernando Valley.
Yeah. Valley. The early childhood was in Van Nuys, California. And like, that was probably like the roughest part that I was in. We were
Van Nuys.
Yeah. Van Nuys.
Van Nuys.
Yeah. Van Nuys. And, you know, like there's several drive-by, shootings like on my street. Like that was probably like you just kind of lay down.
Wow.
Like I remember
while you were having a drive-by actively in your neighborhood.
Yeah. Like I remember the first one, my dad, he just like grabbed me and just kind of hit the floor and I didn't know what was going on, but he just like put his hand over my head and just kind of laid down. And then, you know, we heard screeching, we heard shooting, we heard screeching again. And he's like, all right, like, let's get up. And we went like somewhere safer, but
wow.
Yeah. That was a few times.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. Most people I would say arguably most people don't experience that in the United States because like your average person doesn't live in a place that's so dangerous that there's drive-by shootings, but that's a unique location. And most people are able to like feel generally safe in their house.
Yeah. We saw a dude get shot on Easter, not there, but we were in Huntington Park at my grandma's house.
Yeah.
And it was Easter Sunday and me and all my cousins were playing in the front yard and like all the parents and my grandparents were inside. And then all of a sudden we hear like some yelling right across the street. We hear yelling and like, ka, ka, ka. And then this dude runs out the front of his house holding his arm, blood everywhere. And like my uncle Danny comes out first and then my dad and my uncle George. And then they like jump on all the kids and they're like trying to pull us inside. And it was this girl. I don't know if it was like girlfriend or wife or something, but she came out like holding the gun. And
no kidding.
Yeah.
Was she shooting him outside at all?
I don't think so. Because from that point, like I remember just getting like kind of ushered inside. And
brought inside. They're like, we need to get the kids the hell out of there.
But then like a couple hours later, we were playing football in the street. So
You know? Oh my God.
My parents were like, yeah, it's fine.
What a strange time, man.
Yeah, it was vivid though. I was like 7 years old, maybe, I think.
Yeah. I think I've like the first time I ever saw like a person that was injured in public was probably like when I was still living in Maine.
Yeah.
We were driving down this major highway that just ran through the city that I lived in, the town. I wouldn't really call it a city, a town more so. And there was like a big car accident and this lady was like out in the street after like she had wrecked her car and her face was completely covered with blood because she had like hit her head into the windshield or something. And she was like screaming and there's like blood all down her face. And my mom was like, don't look at it. And I was like, it's too late. I saw it. And I was like, oh,
it's engraved, literally. How old are you?
Oh God, dude, that must have been, I was in elementary school for sure. I was definitely I hadn't even gotten to sixth grade yet because I was for sure in elementary school. I guess I could have been like 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever seen any like real,
like some trauma,
graphic violence looking stuff because of the car accident. But obviously now I've been so desensitized because of the internet, unfortunately, which is like not really a great thing. Because then it's just not, I don't think it's healthy. No, not supposed to see that stuff all the time, but for me or for anyone else. And I've got like, there was a period of time where I used to share more graphic stuff to kind of help narrate a situation or provide context to like the violence that's happening in like Ukraine, for example. And over the past like year and a half, I've had people reach out and say that's not really the greatest to be doing that. And then like, I've thought more about it and I've like slowly been like kind of scaling it back. Like, I don't really want to show graphic violence on my feed because like, what if there's kids watching? It's not good for me to be watching it. It's not good for other people to be watching it. Like for example, the Charlie Kirk, assassination that we all saw live, like pretty much live. I was invited to a collaboration video for that, like the close up where you can see everything. And initially I had accepted it because I was busy and I didn't like look to see what it was about. Cause it was from some friends of mine. It was a hectic day. And it was from some friends of mine that are like, I've done a lot of collaborations with in the past. Huh?
OSINT?
No. Yeah. Like it's a page that does that kind of stuff. But anyway, like, about an hour later, I was like, wait, what was that post? Just to look, because I like gotten to a break in a period of time where I could like look and see what it was. Yeah. And I saw there was like the close up of him like getting shot. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be sharing that on my feed, man. That's not really good for anybody. So I removed myself just to make sure that it wasn't like getting out there. Cause like I said, I've got a lot of people from all different demographics, ages watching my stuff. And I don't want to like force them to see something horrific like that. I mean, I think that it's like important to know like that there's real evil out there, but I don't think that it's good to be inundated with that level of violence, especially like if you're young, you know, it's not good.
It's spread like wildfire. And I couldn't imagine like my father or my brother or my son, like that graphic of an image or video. Yeah. It bring everywhere. It spread so fast.
It spread extremely fast. Yeah. Cause it was a super viral thing, you know, it went viral because it's so shocking
and real and raw.
It's shocking, real, raw. It's something that should never happen and not great at all. So I removed myself from that one and I posted other videos and photos that weren't graphic in nature, just like in relation to the news part of it, just because that's like part of what I do. But anyway, so let's go back a little bit. I want to keep kind of staying in a linear progression so I can kind of see like how things kind of went. So you grew up there when you graduated high school. What year was that?
2008.
Okay. And then where did you said you went to school, college somewhere?
Yeah, I did a little college because I was doing music like right out of, I started getting serious with music probably like junior year of high school. So I was like recording music and working with a couple record labels that.
When you say recording music, what do you mean? Like you're like playing the keyboard and stuff and recording?
Like just think of like the Mexican Jason Mraz or John Mayer, you know?
So you knew how to record music pretty well.
Yeah, I was like writing songs, recording music, and performing at different places.
You would book gigs at venues, and they would have you play, or like what were you playing?
Just original music, and then sometimes covers. Like I played a couple colleges.
On what instrument?
Guitar mainly.
So you played guitar? Yeah. Can you still play guitar?
Yeah, I still play guitar.
But you played a lot more back then, probably.
Yeah, a lot more. It kind of left an ugly taste in my mouth for music, unfortunately. Like just the industry, like the music industry alone.
Is it gross?
It's disgusting. And I can only imagine it's worse now.
Oh, probably. Because it's so saturated with everybody that wants to be famous and stuff, probably.
And just at the upper echelons, there's a lot of people that make you feel like you can trust them, but you absolutely cannot.
Oh, there's a lot of grimy, slimy, nasty people doing that stuff. Yeah.
And that was back in 2008 and 2010. So I could only imagine 15 years later, like what it's like now.
Anything that's in entertainment, I feel like there's a lot of folks out there that are, and I've encountered that in our community too. I've definitely encountered it in our community for sure. Folks that I thought were friends of mine, you know, and it's unfortunate. And I like the best course of action is to not like, you know, be the person that's like, we need to all know, rat this person out and say who they are. And
they want a reaction from you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not interested in like putting like name dropping or any of that stuff. That doesn't do anything good. But I mean, and I don't have to live inside their skin. Those people live inside their own skin, you know? Yeah. But I've encountered that in our culture, and it sounds like you've encountered it in the music scene. Yeah. The music scene is a totally unfamiliar scene for me because I've never been involved in music or anything like that. But I'm sure that, I mean, I've heard stories. There's lots of movies out there that show what record labels do and what kind of shady stuff people do to make money or to steal your content before you got it published because you don't have the money to get it published yourself. And then they get the copyrights to it. And it's like a bunch of shady, crazy stuff going on because people are trying to make money and they're willing to step on anybody and like screw anybody over that they can to make money. And they don't care if you do or not. It's a weird thing, man. It's like everybody's like scrambling and clambering over each other to get to the top of this like hill that's covered with dead bodies.
Money will show your morals or lack of morals pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you mean money's not the root of all evil, in my opinion. It's just a tool that can be used for good or for evil. Yeah. And like in the pursuit of money, human beings do evil stuff and they also do good stuff. Yeah,
it can be leveraged either way. But yeah, like I did music and then I stopped just because I got burned too many times and then I just stopped enjoying it. I wasn't happy doing it. So I was like, all right.
What year was that when you stopped enjoying it, you think?
I would say like 2011 or so. Like late 2010, 2011. And then that's when I went back to college and I was just doing general ed. And then my grandfather passed away and we moved up towards Bakersfield, which is getting closer to Oakland.
Okay.
So we're closer now.
Bakersfield.
Yeah. It's like, just think of the smelliest city in the world.
It's smelly?
Yeah. Because it's all like, there's a lot of farms. There's tons of farming out there.
What kind of farming?
Cows and there's a lot of orchards out there. There's grapes. Like it's called the grapevine, like where you come up this hill and you go down this hill and there's a bunch of wineries and stuff like that.
Oh,
and then
really?
Once you further get in, then it's all like your regular ranch type farming. Like there's tons of cows and it just smells.
Probably a more conservative area just because there's a lot of like agriculture and stuff.
Yeah, I would say more conservative area. Bakersfield it was super dangerous like in some areas, but now it's being like it's really turned in my opinion. Last time I went there,
like gentrified or something.
Yeah. So it's getting better. It's getting cleaner, and my brother's still up there, and he's got a nice place. And
what does he do?
He was an EMT, and now he's still an EMT, but he's going to become a firefighter. He's going to
good for him.
That side.
How old is he?
He is so I'm the oldest. I'm 35.
Yeah,
and then my middle brother was born in 94, so he's 31. And then, so he's 29, Brian. My youngest, he's about 29.
Still 29.
Yeah.
Well,
he's doing well. Yeah.
About the same age as my youngest brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have, how many siblings do you have?
I have two little brothers.
Two little brothers? Okay. Yeah. You're the oldest.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, but I'm also the shortest.
That's funny. I've got two younger brothers as well. Yeah. I'm the oldest. My youngest brother is the tallest though. I'm like the second tallest.
Yeah, it's my middle brother. Funny. I think he's like 6 foot, and then my youngest brother, he's like probably like 5'10" or so.
Yeah, yeah. There's it's interesting. So they had 3 boys, which is good because that means that they're really spreading their legacy.
Yeah, and I have 3 boys and a girl. Name. So
3 boys and 1 girl.
Yeah, 3 boys, 1 girl, and my wife. She's. I don't think we're done having kids. So,
oh my gosh,
it's still on the table. I know it's
a very classic Hispanic thing.
I know.
You just have like giant families and big parties and cook tons of food. Yeah. It's kind of a cultural thing I've noticed. Have huge families. Yeah. We'll get to that. I do want to talk a little more about that. When did you decide that you wanted to join the Army?
I decided in early mid 2012 when I was going to college, and I wanted to become a firefighter, but in California, that's actually really hard. So I commend my youngest brother for doing that, because you have to do, even to become a police officer, like LEO out there, you have to do a lot. There's a lot of volunteer firefighter you have to do a certain amount of college, because firefighters in California, they stay busy. They're super busy all the time with wildfires and other emergencies. But so I decided against that, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to just join the Army. And I went into a recruiting station. They probably loved me because I walked in and I was like, I need to join the Army today. And they qualified me. I did like the practice ASVAB. They're like, okay, you're not dumb. So yeah. And then I did the real ASVAB. They're like, all right, yeah, you scored 69. I was proud of that score. 69. Yeah, it's my favorite number.
That's funny.
That's kind of nice.
Favorite number. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
But scored that, and then I was like, my recruiter was like, hey man, are you gonna marry this girl? Like my girlfriend at the time, Naomi. And I was like, well, when we love each other, I don't see why not. And we spoke, and we got married on December 1st. And on January 1st, New Year's Day, 2013 is when I shipped to basic.
Wow. So you were married before you got to basic.
Yeah. Just because of the paperwork, it was a lot easier to enter the military married rather than like me go through it single and then you get to your unit and then now you have to do all the paperwork.
And you're still married to Naomi today.
Yeah.
That's wild. That is a very unusual thing, and not because there's anything wrong with it. It's unusual in the sense that a lot of the folks I knew that came in married or got married right when they joined, had a real rough time.
Yeah.
Because it's hard being married in the military if you've never been in the military before, especially for young folks. Yeah. How old were you at the time?
I joined a little later just because of college. So at the time of enlistment, I was 22 going on 23. I turned 23 right after basic.
So you weren't just 18 years old. Yeah. So that's maybe I
was like a grandpa compared to they looked at me like I was old.
Oh God. Imagine how I felt. I was 27.
Yeah.
I was the grand old man to them. I was the same age as my senior drill instructor. So it's like, I still got treated like a boot like everybody else did, but I was like, hey, especially when I got to the fleet, I was like the same age as my squad leaders and stuff like that. But I was a private. So it's like, it's weird. It's like you have to almost play the role of a baby again. And I'm like some part of me thinks to myself, I wonder if I took on I wonder if as a result of being treated like you're an idiot because you're a private and you don't really know much about the military, I wonder if as a result of that, I stopped being as mature as I was before I got in, because I was like, well, I'm going to get treated like a baby anyway. I might as well just act like an idiot. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if I started doing that or not. I'm not sure. I don't think I did. I think I still was able to maintain some semblance of maturity.
I feel like we do that in the Army, because in the Army, when you're a dumb private, you can get away with stuff.
Right. Even if you're 30 years old, which is weird because you expect more from somebody that has that much life experience. Yeah. And I think that there are probably times where I acted my age, and then there are definitely times where I did not act my age, where I acted like I took on the roles and responsibilities of a dumb private.
In Korea, I took on those roles a couple times.
Yeah, and we'll get to that anyway. So you joined the military while you were married. You got married first, so you started off living in base housing right out the gate when you first joined.
Yeah, we were gonna go on base, and then we got a little apartment, and it shows you from back then to now, the stark difference. Cause we had barely afforded this 1-bedroom apartment in Columbus, Georgia, just because I was stationed at Fort Benning. Okay. My first duty station. And we had this one tiny little 1-bedroom apartment, and all we could afford was a couch and a 32-inch TV. So you walked in our house, and then we actually used a service on post through ACS, the Army Community Services. And it's a lending closet, and they give you stuff for free. I mean, it's a lending closet.
You have to give it back.
Yeah, they give us spoons, forks, a blender.
You had nothing.
Yeah, we had nothing. We had nothing.
Almighty.
Also, I didn't know, like I said, I was this dumb private.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was supposed to be receiving BAS, so basic allowance for sustenance.
Yeah.
So I was missing out on $400 a month. And as a brand new private in 200013, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. For
food.
For
that's all your groceries.
Yeah, exactly. For a year and a half.
Did you get back paid then?
I sure did.
Oh, nice. Did you blow it on something stupid?
I sure did.
Oh no, God almighty.
I was a dumb private.
I would have done the same. I spent my entire re-enlistment bonus on tattoos, so I can't really say anything. Unfortunately.
At least you can see the tattoos. You can't see the dumb stuff.
Well, most of the tattoos I got with that re-enlistment bonus are covered by my shirts and stuff.
Yeah,
though. So it's I was over the age of 30 at the time.
Yeah.
No excuse. Yeah. But I still did it anyway because I was like, I want tattoos. And man, I think back to some of that, and it's I could have spent that money in a better way, maybe investing in a business or brand, or investing in myself in some way. I don't know, or investing in crypto maybe before it was popular. I don't know. Could have bought some Doge.
Yeah, that's when I feel 2012, 13 is when I first learned about Bitcoin. I was like, what the heck is this? And I could imagine if you bought a couple of those back then.
Dude, if you had invested $16K in Bitcoin back in 2012, oh my God, you would have so much cash right now, especially with $100,000 a coin. And back then it was probably a couple $100 per coin. Yeah. And you would have been just rolling in the cash. But I mean, you can't predict the future. It's like everybody says shoulda, coulda, woulda with stocks and stuff too. But yeah. Anyway, so what job were you selected for? Or did you select when you were?
Yeah. So in the Army, you can select your job. And I initially chose 13, I think it's 13 Bravo, which is cannon crew member, because that's what my grandfather did.
Cannon crew, so artillery?
Yeah, artillery. So, and my family history with military was it's pretty small. Like my uncle Carlos was in the Marine Corps reserves, I believe.
Your uncle Carlos?
Yeah, Uncle Carlos. Yeah, nice. Not Ruiz.
Carlos. My uncle Carlos.
Hey, Miguel. Which, side story, he watches those videos, like him and his wife.
What videos?
So I do videos where I superimpose my eyes and my mouth.
Oh, over it. Yeah.
Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major of the Army. And they have like Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael Weimer. He's like, hey, Carlos. And then Carlos is like, hey, fool, how you doing, fool? And, but yeah, anyways. But yeah, my uncle Carlos was in the Marine Corps. And then my grandfather was in the Army he boxed. He was like a boxer in the Army, and he was a cannon. He was field artillery. So I chose that. And then they were like, your eyes are jacked up. Like I wear contacts, and they were like, you don't have good vision, so you got to pick a new job. So they played this video, and it was a 19 Delta, which is this reconnaissance, is a cavalry scout. And the video makes it like it's this cool thing, right?
18 Delta?
19 Delta.
19 Delta. And that's Cav Scout.
Yeah, Cav Scout.
I always hear the Army talking crap about Cav Scouts.
It's a love-hate relationship. Mostly hate, you know?
Mostly hate?
Yeah.
Isn't like...
Because it's a combat MOS, but it's not like... Everyone's like, oh, if you're not infantry, then it's not combat. So there's a couple MOSs that are still considered combat MOSs, like Combat Engineer, the Cav Scout, and a couple others. But so yeah, it's just like a friendly rivalry kind of.
It's still a support MOS, right? Because they're supporting infantry.
Yeah, I guess like everyone's supporting the infantry, and but I mean it's still like
it's a combat MOS because you're going to be working directly with infantry.
Yeah, like our drill sergeants were like they were combat heavy dudes, you know, like multiple deployments. Saw some stuff, and you know, so but yeah, I did that. And
so you became a Cav Scout, or you became a cannoneer?
No, Cav Scout. So they switched because they were like, oh, your vision sucks. So
because your vision was bad, they were like, you're going to be a Cav Scout,
which is weird because in the reconnaissance world, like we're paid to watch things and report on things. So I'm like, my eyes. How is this okay? But anyways,
Cav Scouts are always mounted as well, right? It's usually mounted, like Bradleys.
Bradleys, a lot of strikers. But then like my first unit, I was dismounted, so we would like lug equipment up on hills and then observe enemy and vehicles and stuff and call for fire, stuff like that. But yeah, it was definitely dismounted at first, and then I was on the striker and then the Bradley. I hate the Bradley.
You didn't like the Bradley?
No, I hate it.
Dude, the Bradley infantry
took off my leg at Fort Riley.
No kidding.
Almost lost my leg. Yeah.
What's the so you get done with basic, and when did you find out you were going to be a Cav Scout?
I was at MEPS, like I did the duck walk and everything.
Oh, you found out you were going to be a Cav Scout before you even went to basic?
Yeah. Oh. So I went to MEPS thinking that I was going to be a cannon crew member, and then they were like, nope, your vision sucks. You got to pick a job right now. And that was like, okay. And they don't give you time. They're just like, here's a list, pick a job. Okay. And then I remember seeing that 19 Delta Cav Scout video, like the YouTube clip that they show you. I was like, oh, that looked dope. So I picked that, and they're like, cool, you're shipping on January 1st.
Okay. So you went to basic, and then after you got done with, where'd you go to basic?
I went to basic at Fort Benning. Fort
Benning. Okay. Yeah. And was the Cav Scout school at Fort Benning as well?
Yeah. It recently changed. Like a couple years prior to that, it was at Fort Knox. And that was like the home of the cavalry. And then they moved it to Fort Benning. So I did that at Fort Benning, and then they were like, hey, your duty station is here. So I don't have to go anywhere.
Oh, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, just save you some time. So you went to how long was your Cav Scout school?
Everything like they call it OSUT, the one station unit training. So typically like you'd go for basic training for 10 weeks, and then you go and do your advanced training. I don't know what they call it in the Marine Corps, like the school, like the actual where you learn.
We just call it MOS school.
Okay, the MOS.
Yeah,
school.
For you guys, you call them A schools, right?
Yeah, AIT. Yeah.
AIT is where you go to your actual job school. Yeah. So we call them MOS school because we've got the Marine Corps is a little different. We've got basically two different pathways you can take. If you're going infantry, then you're going to go to recruit training. Once you graduate recruit training for 13 weeks, then you're going to the School of Infantry to go to Infantry Training Battalion, but now they call it something else. I think they call it like infantry Marine course. So IMC, I think is what they call it now. If you're non-infantry, then you'll go through your 13 weeks of basic or recruit training. And then after recruit training, you'll go to what's called Marine combat training or MCT, which is 30 days. Infantry Marine course is 90 days, I believe. But if you're non-infantry, you have to go to MCT. That every Marine has to go to Marine combat training first. And then after that 30 days, then they go to their MOS school, which could be anywhere in the nation, based on what MOS they selected or they elected to have. So that's one of the different things. You don't go to because you guys have basic training all over the country. We only have two spots you can go, and that's in Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, and then Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Parris Island. And there's no MOS schools that I know of in either of those locations. They're like all over the place. There's MOS schools on Camp Pendleton, on 29 Palms, on Camp Lejeune, on Fort Leonard Wood. I think Fort Belvoir might have some.
Fort Sill too.
Fort Sill,
That's
Oklahoma.
Where you guys do your field artillery.
All our field artillery guys go there. I don't remember where we used to send our tank guys because we don't have tanks anymore. They got rid of tanks from the Marine Corps, but we still have LAVs and AAVs, and I think that the training for some of those might be in 29 Palms, if I'm not mistaken, or Camp Pendleton maybe. But there's different MOS schools all over the whole country, but everybody goes to either San Diego or Parris Island, and there's no way you could go to recruit training and your MOS school because there's no MOS schools located in those spots. So that's just one of the differences between the Army and the Marine Corps that's like visible or like easy to kind of explain, differentiate. So anyway, how long was your MOS school for becoming a Cav Scout?
I think it was. At the time, it's changed probably a couple times, but I think it was only 6 weeks, like 6 or 8 additional weeks afterward. After the 10 weeks of basic training.
6 to 8?
Yeah. So I think all in all, I was gone 16 or 18 weeks, like all together.
Okay. And what was that course like? Was it challenging in any way?
Honestly, it was. I feel like every generation is like, oh, my time at basic or boot camp was harder. Mine was harder. Yeah. So
everybody always says that.
Of course. Like back in 2013, probably was harder than now. See, I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was obviously challenging. Like I feel like it was more mentally draining than anything because I remember my first day. You go through your day. It starts at 4 or 5 in the morning. They're like yelling at you, waking you up, and they ship you off you take a bus after being there for a few days, getting like 100 shots. Yeah. And, you got to do paperwork and they got to do all the in processing. And I was like, oh, this is easy. That's cool. Like they're not, I'm not getting yelled at too much. Like we just need to not screw around and do the right thing. Yeah. And then they actually bus you over the hill to your actual like drill sergeants. And then that's when they start screaming at you. And, they were telling me like some stuff that you definitely can't say now. Like, I don't know. I assume you're going to bleep this, but I remember one of the first things he told me, he was like, Vargas, I hate your face. First of all, like I don't cuss, but I will say the R word. But so he was like, I effing hate you. I hate your effing face. Actually, I'm going to you, and then I'm going to your dead body. And then once your soul goes up to heaven, I'm going to your soul. And I was like, well, why? And like, that was just, I remember him saying that vividly.
Yeah. And make sure you bleep all of those words. And, that sounds about right. But he,
and now you can't do that.
He might've been compensating for something too, though.
He was also like 5'3". So maybe that's
okay. That's the answer then. He had short man syndrome. I know a lot of people that are like that they do that. They're like overcompensating for something. Cause the hardest dudes, the most terrifying dudes I've ever met in my life didn't talk like that. They talked like, so I had some machine gunner. I had some friends who were machine gunners that were like my super seniors, super seniors. And, they would talk to you like very like directly, normally, oftentimes they wouldn't even cuss. They'd just be talking to you very plainly. Yeah. But you knew that they were like, you could tell that like they had a level of danger.
Oh yeah.
They were like just dangerous people. And then of course you got guys that are like unhinged a little bit that are like putting their hands on you and stuff like that. Yeah. But, I had it relatively easy compared to like some of my seniors or their seniors, because like some of the guys that came back from Afghanistan were, you know, a little unhinged because they had like drinking problems and stuff like that. And they would like, you know, like all my super seniors and seniors would like do everything they could to get out of the barracks on the weekends and just like stay out in town because they didn't want to be anywhere near their seniors on the weekends because they're like, they would just get, you know, they just get f***ed up. So
I grew up to respect and love all those drill sergeants later, especially like Drill Sergeant Roman, Drill Sergeant Thatcher, and Drill Sergeant Grimes. Those were the guys that like the main guys, and Drill Sergeant Roth. They were like, they had that stoic, like, first off, you hardly ever saw their eyes. I remember Drill Sergeant Roman. I never once saw his eyes.
You just saw his hat?
Yeah, just his hat.
Or and the brim of his cover?
Yeah, if not that, he was always wearing shades.
What do they call those the flat brim hats for you guys? What do they refer to those as? Do you know?
Just drill sergeant hat.
This is a drill sergeant
campaign hat. You know, it depends.
They call it like, campaign hat?
Well, it depends who you are. Like my buddy, now Master Sergeant Black, he would always just call it drill sergeant hat. But
okay, because we call them campaign covers. Yeah, that's like that's a very standard. Like everybody calls them the campaign cover, and I would assume it's because we used to fight wearing those. Yeah,
and my buddy who was Marine Corps and now he's Army, and he just got off the trail for drill sergeant, but he called it a campaign hat. So,
campaign hat, yeah. You guys have like patrol caps and stuff like that. We call all of our hats covers for some reason.
We say PC. I mean, even I
PC?
say PC
My
patrol
PC.
cap. PC.
It's so funny.
Even I'll say cover sometimes too. Like, but yeah, it's weird. Like the little isms.
There's little isms. They're just like cultural differences and stuff like that. But
like for a while, you guys couldn't even get like sleeve tattoos, right? In the Marine Corps?
No, for the longest time when I first joined the tattoo so the tattoo policy changed in 2007. That's when they officially like redid the whole thing. Yeah. I don't remember who the commandant was at the time. I can't remember, but they basically passed this new sweeping order where it's like you had to be able to cover. If you had a tattoo on your arm, you needed to be able to cover the entirety of it by conjoining all of your fingers. And there was like very, very wordy verbiage. It needed to be completely covered. You couldn't have any other tattoos touching that one tattoo. You couldn't have anything 2 inches above or below your elbow. You couldn't have anything 2 inches below it had to be 2 inches away from your wrist. You couldn't have anything sticking out of your sleeve that was like more than like I think 3-4 inches, and officers was even more strict. Same thing for your knees and everything. And then after, I think in 2022, they finally passed new tattoo policy because they realized that they were having a hard time recruiting people in the day and age because of like
couldn't qualify anybody.
People want tattoos these days, man. That's just it is what it is, and really like that. Your tattoos don't have any reflection on your character, on your work ethic, on your ability to execute orders and your ability to accomplish mission. And so I think they finally changed that. They realized like, hey, we need to fix this because our recruiting is having a hard time. Probably that's more than likely what happened because people had complained about it for years and they didn't do anything. And in fact, there was a time where somebody brought it up in a meeting where either the commandant or sergeant major of the Marine Corps was at, and he was like, now I want some questions and don't ask me anything about the tattoo policy. And he would just straight up say that. And this was years and years ago. So it was a different guy at the time. But it changed eventually. And then as soon as it changed where you were allowed to get sleeves, I was like, I'm getting a sleeve right now on both arms. So that way I am grandfathered in.
Locked in.
Locked in. Because a lot of my buddies who had sleeves when I first came in had them done before the policy got passed. So they were grandfathered in and nobody could do anything about it.
So the Army was trying to do something similar when I was joining. And like later, my first couple years in the Army, like 2013 or 14, the then Sergeant Major of the Army, Raymond Chandler, who I technically make fun of in my videos, like those videos where I do all the senior leaders. I always make him say like tattoo equals bad soldier because he tried to get rid of all our tattoos. So back in like 2013, 14, he implemented this policy where he was like, every soldier that has a tattoo, we're going to create this website and this database, and you're going to take your soldiers and you're going to take them in a room. They're taking off their clothes, minus like their underwear. And we're taking pictures of every single tattoo they have, documenting it.
Wow.
Saying, make sure they're not like racist and make sure they're not like extremists and stuff like that. And then if you got more tattoos, that's when they're like, oh no, we have pictures of you like on this website. So I remember they were like, hey, you have tattoos. I didn't have any at the time anyway. So, but then shortly after that was implemented, they're like, nah, we can't do this. So
It's too much.
yeah, it was too much. And now there's soldiers with, tattoos on their neck. We have,
You guys have, you're allowed to have hand tattoos, right?
yeah, hand tattoos. And there's like people with tattoos like on their middle and ring finger, like going this way, like long ways, like as long as you can't see it, like if you're like saluting or something, like
That's funny as hell. I didn't know you could do that. I know the only hand tattoos that's allowed in the Marine Corps is a ring tattoo, and there are very specific measurements.
Yeah.
I think it's like 3/4 of an inch or something, or
which is tough on the finger.
3/8 of an inch, maybe.
Because that kind of like expands and kind of moves around, like with, right? Or like the ink, doesn't it like spread, especially on the fingers?
I don't know if it spreads. I think it just like basically it needs to stay within, I think it's 3/8 of an inch or something like that. And it can be a band that goes around the whole thing. Yeah. But they understand, like, people get that so they don't have to wear rings to the field, because like if you're working with heavy machinery, and you could get your finger stripped and stuff like that. Yeah. Also, a lot of people get those Kalo,
the
Kalo rings or Qualo or whatever, the rubber silicone.
I wore those rubber rings forever until recently. I just wanted a band.
Yeah. I just don't like wearing jewelry except for watches. I'll wear a watch because I like being able to, it's because of the utility in it. Yeah. But I don't like jewelry.
I
really can't stand jewelry.
So if I take this off, like,
oh wow,
I'd wear it. And even my watch is even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just not my personal taste. I don't like necklaces. I don't like bracelets. I don't like wearing rings. I like tattoos though. Yeah. So it's like tattoo, and I don't have to ever worry about forgetting to wear it, because it's all the time tattooed. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll go back to, let's see, you got through, what was the hardest part of Cav Scout school? What was the most difficult part? Like what evaluations were the hardest?
I think prior to the evaluation, my hardest day was the night of day one of that. Now you're in it and you can't go anywhere. Yeah. Going through that whole day, it felt like it was like a 40-hour day. And I remember laying my head down to sleep, and they were like, go to sleep. Like, they pull us out there. We're like doing PT, like in our underwear and stuff. And then finally,
in your underwear?
Yeah.
Like whitey tighties?
Yeah. Well, brown,
brown.
They're tan.
Okay.
But then like when you finally actually got to go to sleep, I remember telling myself, I was like, I don't know if I could do this. I just had that thought in my head. And then luckily immediately followed up with like, no, I have to do this. Like I can't not do this. I don't have any other plan. Like I now have a wife, we've been married for a month now. Yeah. And, so I have to do it. So I remember that being my hardest day, and it got easier. It got better once you started making friends, like in your platoon, and the bunks around you kind of, help you pull each other, through some stuff. But then like evaluation, I guess we had this thing called GST, gunnery skills test. So in us, like we're technically still civilians, and they're like, all right, here's this 50 cal, take it apart. Here's this Mark 19 grenade launcher, take it apart. This is
before you've even graduated like boot camp.
They do some of it, mostly just with like the M4. But then once you graduate boot camp and you're in that secondary phase, which like some MOSs, they'll fly to another state to do that. But we stayed in one. That's why it's called OSA, one station unit training. So we have the same drill sergeants the whole time. So
so your drill sergeants because you guys call them drill sergeants. So your boot camp instructors
then become
your MOS instructors.
Exactly.
Do they treat you the same way that
yes.
they treat you the same way the whole time?
They don't give us any extra liberties. Like
that's so funny.
I would say honestly, like looking back, they probably reined it back in maybe 5 to 10%, like a little bit, because they understood like, okay, cool, like you did that thing. We trust that you know how to do basic soldering things like for the 10, 12 weeks you're here. Yeah. But yeah, like they were like, all right, cool. Now we're gonna give you this, give you that, and I think the most fun I had was either rappelling or throwing a live grenade. That was cool.
Yeah. But what's the hardest part about like learning the Cav Scout stuff? Like the boot camp stuff, that's cool. But what was the hardest part about the actual Cav Scout training pipeline?
Probably the physical part. I mean, at the end you do like a 20K ruck, up into and it ends in the woods, and there's like a ceremony that like I'm not supposed to talk about, but I'm not under NDA. So
but as far as like what I'm specifically looking for is like, were there any evaluations for like, did you guys have to do any like armor identification classes?
Yeah,
did
we
you
do
have to
ID.
like when you do gunnery, did you like actually shoot the Bushmaster chain gun? Like
We did, yeah.
And did you have to like shoot, what kind of targets were you shooting?
We're shooting like real, old vehicles, but in that assessment, like you don't have to score the only time where you have to score something where it's like go, no go is when you're shooting the M4, when you're doing all your PT tests, throwing the grenade. And I remember our machine gun ranges, like it was more familiarization.
Okay.
Because there's so many of us, and I think they probably just don't have enough money and time and ammunition, but it's more like, okay, can this dude lob these rounds in this general area and direction and not kill anyone that he's not supposed to?
Oh, okay.
You're a go,
But the Bushmaster, like, so you got to get on like the weapon system, like below deck, and like target stuff and like turn the turret and like target different targets out there.
And that was cool.
That had to be super fun, like shooting some like armor piercing incendiary tracer rounds.
Yeah, it's I say that I hate the Bradley, but I think my favorite gunneries were on the Bradley because especially as a Bradley commander, walking my gunner onto a target, like a moving target or something like that, and seeing like rounds impact like that, gets me excited.
When you look through, like you have an optic that's down there that you're looking through. Yeah. What's it called?
There's a couple. There's like your IBAS, which is honestly, I so far removed from that platform that I don't remember exactly what it's called, but the IBAS and the CIV, which is the commander's individual viewer.
Okay.
So the IBAS, like there's a couple different things. Like I can see what the gunner sees.
Okay.
And then using my CIV, I could actually, so the gunner, let's say he's scanning like this quadrant over here and I see something over here, I can hit a button and it brings my gunner straight to what I'm looking at. So it'll
automatically turn the turret that way.
Yeah, I'll laze it and then I'll use my yokes to walk my gunner onto what I'm seeing, and then I can laze it. It'll tell him how far it is, and then he can engage. So
wow,
yeah, I think that part's really cool because I could be looking at other stuff,
with the commander's viewer.
Yeah,
and so if you see if you're looking through the commander's viewer and the gunner's looking at something completely different, you can laze it, and then it'll like auto turn the turret. Yeah, that's like there's a lot of these countermeasure systems in tanks that if they get lazed,
like we have a system like that.
The tank automatically will turn that way and fire around in the direction that the laser came from, like automatically without even pressing anything. Yeah. It's like a countermeasure system. I can't remember what it's referred to as, but I know
that
we
had those on our strikers.
On your strikers?
Yeah. It wouldn't, I don't think it would fire anything, but it would
automatically orient in that direction. It would
orient that direction. And it would essentially, I don't know how effective it was, but it would tell you like what type of round and how far it was. Like, hey, from 700 meters, you just got engaged.
You get lazed at 700 meters in this from this many mils. Is that so for the optics? Does it display mils or degrees or what is it?
You could change it. It's honestly, I think it's both. It'll show you the mils and the degrees, and then distance, and you can switch back and forth to what the gunner sees and what you see, and then he can see what you see as well.
That's
because
cool.
if you're scanning and the gunner says, I'm just going to look at what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
He might see something that, my eyes got tired.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
he's like,
missed
hey, it's
something.
Like look this way. And then we kind of both orient, but it's cool because like we can be rolling down like a street or something, or, for me, like the lane, like in the gunnery, and he's off this way and I'm off that way. Yeah. And then the driver has a display as well. So it's called a DVE, the driver's, I don't know, something vehicle. I don't know. And through the driver's DVE, he can't like control what we see but he can also say like, hey, like Sarnt or like sir, or whoever's up there. Yeah. Like look at your whatever, the 300 meters this way. So the driver can do it too. So you have 3 sets of eyes basically looking.
That's cool. So everybody can see out essentially from wherever their perspective position is. And is it typical like Bradley team that's inside of the vehicle? Like you're going to have like a lieutenant in there, or is it always a captain in there?
No, it's so how it's structured for in the cavalry. There's 6 vehicles typically. So the 1, the 2, 1 through 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 1 is typically your platoon leader. So, and not to get, so I guess you guys call him like platoon commander.
Yeah, we call him platoon commander.
So you guys
call them PLs.
Yeah, PLs. So the 1 is your platoon commander. The 2 is your senior scout. So I was a senior scout for a bit. The 3 and the 6 are kind of like your squad leader and like your junior baby scout, and the 4 is your platoon sergeant. So
that makes sense. So like one vehicle is going to have like the senior NCO
With
or staff
the
NCO.
LT. Yeah.
With the LT.
Yeah. So that was me. So I was the senior scout, and the senior scout, my wingman was the LT. So because I like they try to put a pretty senior guy in. So it's two sections. It's 1, 2, 3. Like the alpha section is the 1, 2, and 3. And the Bravo section is the platoon sergeant, and then the 5 and the 6.
And the platoon sergeant's not the senior NCO.
No, he's the most senior one. So he's the most senior, but he takes them, and it's my responsibility, or the senior scout's responsibility, to kind of mentor and guide the lieutenant.
But the senior scout is not the senior NCO within the.
No, not the senior NCO,
platoon.
but like the senior, like I guess second most.
It's
senior.
like the second most senior NCO, because I know you guys don't call them staff NCOs. Like for us, if you're E6 or above, you call them staff NCOs or staff non-commissioned officers. I know you guys just call basically everybody's an NCO once you're a sergeant.
Once you hit E7, you're considered like a senior non-commissioned officer.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So, Anyway, so there's a pretty senior NCO with is it with a lieutenant?
Junior LT, yeah.
Okay, so it's like a junior LT, and then like you've got like the senior, like probably an E6, E7. That's like the platoon sergeant, and then you've got some squad leaders that might be like a sergeant or something like that.
Yeah, sergeant.
And the other ones, sergeant or staff sergeant. Okay, that makes kind of sense. Yeah.
And then we're a wingman, and my Bradley in Korea he was Bada Bing, and I was Bada Boom. We named our Bradley. Mainly because he was Italian, is Panacucci. Panacucci.
That's fine. Panacucci. It's kind of a funny ending name.
Yeah, I would make fun of it. I'd never like once called him Panacucci. I'd be like, hey, Lieutenant Lasagna. Like
Lieutenant Lasagna?
Yeah, I just make fun of him. Yeah.
That's funny. So let me see here. You were at Benning after your job school, after Cav Scout school. How long were you at Benning for?
I was at Benning for 3 years. And in those 3 years, went to NTC a couple times, which is like, do you guys do that stuff at 29 Palms? Like
yeah. Okay, it's been called just so many different things. It used to be called Mojave Viper for a long time. They would do that. That was like your pre-deployment requirement. You had to go there before you deploy to kind of make sure that your battalion was qualified. And then they stopped calling it Mojave Viper. And they started calling it ITX, which stands for Integrated Training Exercise. And then they started calling it something different now. I haven't been to 29 Palms.
When stuff like that happens in the Army, to us, it's like officers and senior NCOs that just want a bullet on their evaluation. Like, I changed this thing. Like, I implemented change or whatever.
It's possible. I don't know. I just know that the last time I was out there was 2018, and it's changed. I mean, obviously that's 5, 6, 7 years ago. I haven't been 29 Palms in 7 years, which is really weird to think about. But, I've been there 3 times before that, because we used to go pretty much every single workup. You go there at least once. But now it's called something different. Same thing, though. I mean, you're doing the same types of evaluations. You're running the same ranges. You're doing the same stuff. There may be some nuanced differences, like new technology they're going to be using, like drones and all kinds of different stuff like that. HIMARS.
You guys typically go for 30 days. Ours is usually 30 days.
No. So when we would go, I don't know if it's changed timelines now. We used to go for 60 days at a time. We would typically go there, at least in my first command, we would go there it was like we would get out there in January and we would stay until like the end of February.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'd be there for 2 months, and it was usually freezing ass cold because it's just the desert and stuff. But NTC or JRTC for you guys, it's kind of like the same thing for you guys that 29 Palms is for us. And you're out there either freezing your ass off in the winter or like sweating your ass off in the summer. It's one of the two.
They try to keep us under 31 days because then after 30 days, like you have to get separation pay.
Really?
They don't do that for us.
Really? We don't get separation.
There's no separation pay. No. So if you're away from your spouse, you don't get separation pay after 30 days.
I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe the married guys would do that, but I never was married when I was out there, so I don't know.
Makes sense.
I wouldn't have had situational awareness on that. I mean, maybe that might be a thing. I would imagine if that's like a DOD Department of War wide thing.
I would assume it is. I just wasn't sure.
It's possible. It's possible. I just didn't have any situational awareness on
the
that.
Army was cheap, so they were like, nope, we're going to send you exactly for 30 days, so we don't got to pay you.
Trust me, the Marine Corps is cheap too. We're pinching our pennies even more. You guys got a lot more money than we do.
You guys are more efficient than us, I feel like.
Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on who you ask. We have to be more efficient with less crap because we just have a smaller budget because we get a small percent of the Navy's budget.
And you have a lot of our crap.
Yeah. Right. Well, like the large majority of the Marine Corps budget goes towards their aviation component because like that's just what the most expensive stuff is the aviation equipment. So they have to divert a lot of the money towards that. And then like kind of like the leftovers gets given all the ground component. Yeah. But anyway, so you were in Benning for 3 years. Did you deploy at all with them?
No. So at Benning, like that was a time where the Army started force retiring people because we didn't have money. There was like no money involved. And I remember dudes that were at, they started with like senior officers to save the most money, but there were majors and lieutenants, colonels that were getting force retired at, I mean, the colonels were probably past 20 years, but there were people getting retired at, like 17, 18 years. They were getting letters saying like, hey, you're done. You have to go. And then they had to forego their retirement. Some of them fought it and it sucked, but we had, I was telling you this on the way up here, like there was a point where at Fort Benning, we didn't have enough money for toilet paper in our unit. We were bringing toilet paper from home. So we had an Africa deployment on the patch chart and we went to NTC and then they were like, hey, there's no money. You're not going to Africa. So for 3 years,
that's a bummer.
It was just a constant cycle of like, you go in the field, you shoot some stuff, you go here, you shoot some stuff, and then you just go back home. And it was 3 years of that. And unfortunately,
3 years of just going to the field and never deploying.
Yeah, like division level, brigade level.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, it was. And like I joined in 2013, and obviously like the conflicts were still like they were in their latter stages. So
there's still a lot of stuff going on with ISIS during that time. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, but I mean, at the time,
they shut down my unit, so I think that's probably why too. We went from like this heavy unit to they then moved us to like an infantry brigade combat team, and then they were like, "Hey, we're taking everything away." And I remember my platoon sergeant turning around in our formation. He was like, "They're shutting us down," and they didn't announce that, but they were like, "Hey, we're taking away your Bradleys," and then they're like, "Hey, we're giving you Humvees. Hey, we're taking away that. We're going to be like just on your feet." And then my platoon sergeant. Sergeant First Class Coda at the time. He was like, "Hey boys, they're probably shutting us down." And then lo and behold, like 6 months later, they're like, "Hey, we're shutting you guys down." And then we had to demill stuff, and it hurts me to this day. We had to demill stands for like demilitarize. And I don't know if you guys do this in the Marine Corps, but instead of sending some of this equipment away to other units that could use it, we would have to break it. So I rember a bunch of...
No, we do not do that. The Marine Corps, at least from what I've seen, I've never seen that because
it's painful.
Anything that would need to be demilled, and normally that's just weapons. Yeah. Like you don't demill trucks, but the Marine Corps does not demill their stuff. If like, hey, if that unit's deactivating, because like my first command deactivated as well because they just needed to save the money. Yeah. They would just send it to other places to use it, or they would send it somewhere, but it wouldn't get destroyed. Yeah, that sounds crazy to me. It was
painful.
What that sounds like to me is waste in that 3-letter phrase: fraud, waste, and abuse. Yeah, that sounds like waste.
It's one of those things. And it was, we sent a lot of our stuff away, like vehicles, M4s. We were shipping stuff everywhere to different units. Yeah, but then for some reason they were like, hey, like these, we had like these green lasers, we had Surefires, we had different optics, binoculars, all this stuff that it still works. It was fine. It was working just fine. We would like, for the optics, we'd have to get a screwdriver and a hammer and just drive the screwdriver through it. And then we'd throw it away. And I'm like, can I take this home? And of course we couldn't. And I didn't.
Or even if they send it to somebody else who needs it, like I guarantee you, or sell it. Yeah. Figure it out. Like selling an optic is not going to give away secrets to the military, like unless it's like something that's like proprietary to like the Javelin system. Obviously you don't want to send that or send that to, we could sell that to our allies, our NATO partners, because they're always looking for stuff from us. I mean, we could definitely get rid of a bunch if they wanted it. Damn.
And from there, like they shut us down and we were, doing that transition. And, I kind of got stagnant in like my career because at that time I didn't think of it as a career. I was like, this is just something I'm doing. So I didn't.
It's just a job.
Yeah, I didn't elevate myself past my peers until later. So I kind of I got bit in the butt a little bit later down the road because of that, because I was a little stale and stagnant, because I was like, whatever, this is lame. But then they were like, hey, because we're shutting down, like, where do you want to go? And I was like, Hawaii. I want to go to Hawaii. And they're like, too easy. We got your orders to Hawaii. And then a week later, they were like, hey, so the Hawaii thing it's off the table for now, but you're still going to go to like a coastal area. I was like, dope. Where is it?
Korea.
Alaska.
Alaska.
Yeah.
No kidding. You went to Alaska?
Yeah. Right after that.
What base is up there?
I was at, there's a few, like there's Fort Greely, Fort Wainwright, and Fort
Wainwright.
J-Bear. So Joint Base Elmendorf.
Joint Base Elmendorf. Yeah. That's where I think that's where Putin came for the talks recently with the president.
Yeah. And they sent me to Wainwright, Fort Wainwright, which is the furthest north one. And it was just like 90 or 100 miles south of the Arctic Circle. So the coldest I was ever outside in was 64 degrees below zero.
That's got to be so weird being stationed up there.
Yeah.
Were you in a house?
Yeah, we were in a house. It was culture shock, and it was crazy. Like,
are the houses on post that you were in?
No, I bought a house, and I was scared to. Yeah, now everywhere at PCS we buy a house and we like flip it or rent it. But so we drove from Georgia to Alaska.
You drove through Canada?
Drove there with my child, my dog, my wife, and pregnant wife. She was like 8 months pregnant, and I was drove through America and Canada, and then to Alaska.
How long did that trip take?
We split it up because we when you PCS, I try to see family along the way. So we like drove straight across to LA, and then
you went to California.
Yeah. And then California, and then we drove straight up north through, Oregon and Washington, and then through Canada. And Canada, actually, they, it's a funny story. I got to Canada, and in Canada, they support some firearms, but they like handguns are a no-go. So I had to ship all my handguns, and then
to Alaska because you can ship it from a state to a state.
Right. Yeah. And then the long guns and shotguns and stuff, it's fine, but you have to pay like $20 or $30 Canadian to bring it through the country. And then you can't bring more than like 10,000 rounds of ammo or something like that. So I had a few thousand like in my vehicle, but it's all declared. So I have everything written out, and then I get to the border and they're like, hey, what's up, bud? Like, hey, bud, you got anything to declare, bud? And I was like, yeah, I have this form. Like, I have X amount of rifles. I have this ammo. Like, all right, bud, just go ahead and pull in and leave your dog outside. And, so they took my wife to an area. They took me to a separate area. And immediately they said, get up against the wall. And I was like, what? And I was up against the wall, and they're like, put your hands on the wall. And then they were like, lift up your shirt. Take down your pants, like lift up your pant legs. And then they frisked me, and the two dudes with P90s just pointed straight at me.
P90s?
Yes, pointed straight at me, and a third guy frisking me, like pushing my legs apart, and like I was like, am I getting arrested? And then they were like, what's your wife's name? What's her hair color? What's her eye color? What's her middle name? What's your son's name? Does he have any identifying marks? Does she have any? And then asking me all this history. Weird. And they thought I was trafficking her.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, they thought I was trafficking her and my son and my dog through Alaska. And I was like, what is this? And I finally got reunited with my wife, and I was like, babe, did they like point guns at you? She's like, no, I've just been sitting here. I was like, cool.
Wow. I mean, they thought you were trafficking her.
Yeah.
So did they tell you afterwards?
Yeah. The main, I went to pay the fee finally for the guns. And, I was like, hey, what was that? All that? And she was like, oh, it's security. And I was like, what do you mean security? She was like, honestly, we just want to make sure nobody's getting smuggled. Like,
yeah.
What?
Like, Jesus
is
Christ.
Is it because I'm brown? Like,
yeah. No, that's, I mean.
And then when they search your car, they just like toss stuff and they leave it on the ground, and then they say, all right, have a good day. They don't put any of it back.
So you had to reload your car, and all
reloaded
your
my car.
Stuff was all over the ground.
It was all meticulously placed and leveled, and
that part bro, that's frustrating as hell.
Yeah, but we made it.
Dude, I have a lot of friends in Canada. I love my Canadian friends. Me too. I hate the Canadian government so much, though. Agreed. Like they picked such weird battles to fight, man. It's such a I don't know. Anyway, I love my Canadian friends. You guys are awesome. I love all you guys. Your government just kind of sucks. That's all. Yeah. I'm sure they probably think our government sucks too, though. So
Poutine's cool. Hockey's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people. I mean, dude, great music, great people, great food. They've been to a bunch of like national parks up there. Nova Scotia is awesome. There's a lot of really cool towns up there. There's like great, beautiful landscapes out in like wilderness, hunting, fishing. A lot of cool stuff to do up there, but I don't like want to have to travel through there. The one thing that's an issue I think still currently is the fact that like now that the cartels are getting used to the fact that they can't get through the southern border with stuff, they're starting to use the Canadian border because it's a little bit more lax and they can bring drugs and stuff like that through the top down into the United States. So that's another problem. Whole different can of worms. So, but anyway, so you got to Alaska. What was your house like up there? Was it like prepped for special things? Like, was it made up in a certain way? Did you have heated floors? Like, how did that work? Was your garage heated?
Yeah. So pretty much everything's heated because it'll freeze.
It has to be.
It'll freeze pretty quick. So, and this was the first time I was ever experiencing this. We bought the house and I was like, where are what is that? And they're like, oh, that's a wood burning stove. I was like, what? And we had two of them. We had one upstairs, one downstairs. But also I was like, okay, where's like the central air and heat? They're like, oh, there's no air. There's no AC because it'll freeze. Like it'll literally freeze. So, but then we had baseboard heaters and they were heated with heating oil that was underground, like on the side of your house. It was like a 500-gallon tank. And it's basically JP8. It's diesel fuel. Yeah. And you had to pay for that. And there would be a truck that come in and dump fuel in there, and then that would kind of fuel your.
And it was in the ground, so it wouldn't freeze.
Yeah, it was just this pipe sticking up, and it was weird. It was wild, and but yeah, I remember wood burning stoves,
but no AC.
No AC. Yeah,
but that's because it never got that hot.
It got pretty hot. Like once you're acclimated to that area, it's hot relatively, like to you. But like to me, and like now I'm in Texas, so it's super hot there.
Way hotter.
Yeah, way hotter. So if I went from Texas to there in the summer, I'd be like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah. But like once you live there for a couple of years, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so hot. But
yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. Oh my gosh, 70 degrees is so hot.
Yeah. But then like when on the flip side, when it's like 30, 40, 50 below, and then once it finally warms up to like 0, you're like, oh my gosh, it feels so amazing.
That is wild.
I'd wear flip flops outside, like to go check the mail.
At 0
degrees.
It was still cold though, right?
Yeah, still cold, but relative to, a couple weeks ago, it being 40 below 0 is such a huge difference. And I remember like the first time I experienced it,
you would die if you fell asleep outside.
Yeah. I mean, that happened. Like it happens. And soldiers would, unfortunately, like a couple of times they would get drunk and you pass out and you fall asleep like in the snow. And then if it's actively snowing, like you just get covered up and you die.
Does that happen a couple times?
That happened on Fort Wainwright a couple times and down at J Bear. It's a little warmer down at J Bear, but because it's like 4-6 hours south. That's
insane to think about. That's not something that I've ever considered because there's no like Marine Corps bases near any places like that.
There's a lot of different challenges up there. Like they offer you happy lights because in Alaska, that far north, you don't have the proper sunlight. Like the sun isn't beating down on you from above. It's here in your face. And then like the horizon, the sun will travel, instead of doing this like it normally would, it does this and then does that. Yeah. Or it's in the summer, it does this and then it does that again. Like it just never goes down. Yeah. It's really weird.
That's another thing. It's like sometimes it just like it stays mostly dark for like 6 months of the year. Yeah. And then it's mostly just light for the like 6 months of the year.
And I remember my kids being confused, like, Daddy, is it nighttime? I'm like, yes, I know the sun's out, but it's also 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
It's also 2 a.m. Yes. I know the sun's out. It's also 2 a.m. Go to bed.
Please go to bed. I got PT in like 3.5 hours.
That's so, it's such a weird thing to think about. Like, and I mean, we don't get exposure to that because like we don't have the bases up there like you guys in the Air Force and the Coast Guard. Like my wife was stationed in Kodiak, Alaska, so she experienced it too. Yeah, for sure. Different there though because Kodiak's an island.
It's an island, yeah.
Yeah, so like super crazy experience.
And it's like on the tail of Alaska, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure one of those little ones, but still interesting place to have an experience. But what was living up there like? Work life, like did you deploy anywhere from there? Like,
from there we did a rotation to Canada, which I never thought I'd do. We did like a small rotation it was like a training rotation to Canada, and me and my best friend Gunnar almost fought Francos, French Canadians.
Really?
I think they're French and not Francos, but we came out of the box. Like we did our training with the Canadians and the Australians. I don't know if you worked with them.
Yeah, we have.
Amazing people.
Yeah, they're awesome.
My goodness.
I love the Aussies, dude.
And then the Italians, like I remember they were cooking food for us and they're like, the French, they were like, bon appetit. And I was like, you guys say that? That's awesome.
That's real.
Yeah. But then like after the box, me and my best friend Gunnar, and we became like super best friends there. And we got this Canadian tattoo there.
Oh, nice.
He threw a box of MREs at my head from this top of the striker because we were like sleep deprived. We were like, and then we almost like fist fought. But then from that point, we're like, I love you, bro. You know, it's just, I don't know if you guys do that in Marine Corps, but
it happens depending on the situation.
But then after, like we went to the shower truck together, and we took showers separately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You said we went to the shower truck together, and then we got all
hands.
soapied up together.
Yeah. We did some Navy content, but
some Navy content.
I remember he went to brush his teeth, and he turned on the water, wet his toothbrush. The water was still running. Did toothpaste. And then put it in his other hand and then turn off the water. And then this French dude was like, "Oh, you Americans, you think Canada has unlimited water?" And we were fresh out of the box, sleep deprived, food deprived. And then Gunnar, and this is just his personality. And now he's a different person now. He's like sober, and he's like, you know, he was a good person back then, but he's an even better person now.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, what the F, like, Canada. And he started mocking them. And then like 6 French dudes came, and I was like, Gunnar, we're outnumbered, brother. We can't.
Yeah.
And we got out of that situation. But
well, and I'm sure that conventional forces are always going to interact with people differently than like their top tier guys. I've only ever worked with the French one time, and that was in CENTCOM.
Yeah,
and that was on their compound in Iraq that I would go to.
And that unit went to Syria like right when I PCS'd. So I missed out on that one too.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate, man. Yeah. That would have been a good deployment for you. Yeah. Do you know where they went?
No, but I saw all the photos and it looked incredible.
Yeah. Damn, that's a bummer, man. Well, anyway, so where did you go after Alaska?
After Alaska, I went to Fort Riley, Kansas, like middle of nowhere, Kansas.
A little bit warmer.
A little warmer.
Yeah. There's those are like flight schools and stuff are out there in Fort Riley, I think.
Yeah. There's, I mean, it's got a mixture of everything. Like, but yeah, there's an airfield there, and there's a lot of pilots and stuff. So
yeah. Okay. Yep. And what did you do while you were there? Were you still in the Cap Scouts?
Yeah, still a Cap Scout, and that's where I got a lot of my Bradley experience. And that's when I kind of grew to hate it, because I mean, it's just lunky, and you know, you hit your head on stuff. It's always broken.
You bonk your little noggin.
Yeah. And it's like infuriating because like everything's hard, you know?
Yeah. Everything's like, everything is super hard. Yeah. Is that where you almost lost your leg or arm or something?
Yeah. So I was new to the unit, and they made me the senior scout. Like, well, not right away. I think pretty soon after that, I was a senior scout because I was like the most senior, but like newest to the platform. So I humbled myself real quick, and I was like, look, like the junior soldiers that had been doing this, I was like, hey man, teach me everything you know. Like I'm going to pretend, like, just forget the rank. Like, I need you to teach me this stuff. So luckily those junior soldiers and now leaders, like they took me under their wings and taught me a lot about Bradley. Yeah. But I remember I was doing this gunnery, and we shot and we qualified, we did this stuff. And then on the way back, we were like so ready to go home. And then the squadron commander was like, nope, we're not going home. And we're like, the heck, man. And he was like, there's only 2 people right now for each Bradley to take home. We need 3, minimum of 3, like the driver, gunner, TC, or the tank commander, the vehicle commander. And I was like, fine, whatever. So we waited there, and Sergeant Montez, Tony Montez. He's Hispanic, so I don't know why I did that accent.
Yeah, that's okay.
So Tony Montez, they brought him out. He's like, hey, Sergeant Vargas. And I was like, what's up, brother? And so he was my like partner up there, and the gunner TC. And thank God, because he potentially saved my life. So we got to the wash rack, and we had to go through the wash rack before we put the Bradley back in the motor pool. Yeah. And, you know, there's mud and there's stuff caked on there. So we were next in line, and I told my driver at the time, Glanzer Jolly. I was like, Jolly, over the headset, I was like, don't move. Me and Sergeant Montez are going to get POL, like fuel and stuff and lube and stuff for the gun. Off of the top of the Bradley, because, you know, we had stuff strapped down. He's like, Roger, Sergeant. And so we were going up, going down, grabbing stuff. And the Bradley that I was on was missing one of the side skirts, like one of the side plate armor things. Yeah. And it had an exposed track. So I was stepping on the armor track and then armor. So on one of the times that I stepped up there, some random dude looked at my driver, and he was like, hey man, come this way. Didn't see me on the back of it. So my leg got, and if you could imagine like the track going this way and the hull. So like this is the moving track, and this is the hull of the Bradley. My leg started getting sucked in. because he started moving,
God.
and I was getting sucked into the Bradley, and I was freaking out, and I'm screaming, and the Bradley's loud, like it's a giant,
it's
like
super
a jet
loud. It's like a
almost.
jet, yeah.
So I was screaming my head off trying to, and then at the time, I wasn't wearing a rubber ring. I was wearing like a tungsten ring. So I didn't know what to do. I started slamming it against the, so it'd make like a tink sound.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. I was freaking out. I was in my head. I told myself, I was like, Johnny, at the minimum, you're about to lose your leg. So where's the aid bag? I was telling myself, like, where's the aid bag? Where are the tourniquets? Clot the blood. I was making a plan actively as my leg is getting sucked into this track. And then
my God, dude.
Tony Montez came around to my side, and he looks and he goes like, oh my God. And then he runs up to me, and I was like, stop him. And in the Bradley, there, when you have the hatch down, you have little periscopes, and your field of view is minuscule. It's
you
tiny.
Can't see anything.
Yeah. And Jolly couldn't see him, and he was yelling. And so he jumped on top of the moving Bradley in front of the periscopes and started banging on the thing. And now I'm almost like at my crotch line, like it's about to split me.
Oh my God,
and
bro.
it stops. The Bradley stops. And because of Tony Montez. And again, if Tony didn't come, like at a minimum, my leg would have been ripped off. So I was stuck there, and I was like, Tony, I was like, Montez, he has to back up. I'm stuck. He has to back up. So I had to ground guide the Bradley back so it starts letting go of my leg. And you know what? In cartoons, when like you get flattened out and then it does this thing.
Yeah.
In my head, that was my leg. Like that's how like dire.
Dude, that is terrifying. Yeah. Cause I mean, you're like slowly getting your limb ripped off. Oh and finally, God,
like,
dude.
The Bradley lets go of me, and I just hit the ground, and like, there's blood. And in my head, I'm like, my leg's gone. It's done. Luckily, my boots at the time, my Garmont boots, literally saved my foot, and then in turn saved my leg. It was enough, like the rubber was enough to keep a little pressure away from my leg. So I tore ligaments. Actually, I've diagnosed PTSD from that event, because for a long time that's all I could think about, and it was like
that's pretty terrifying.
Anxious. Yeah, I thought I was gonna die. Jolly,
Jesus Christ, bro. Yeah.
I was like, get him out here. And I was screaming at him, and the medics came up to me like, Hart. He drove me to the hospital on post, and like they did x-rays, did MRI, and luckily, and then I called my wife. It was a stupid decision on my part. I was like full of adrenaline. I was like, babe, I need you to meet me at the hospital. She's like, are you okay? And I was like, no.
I almost died.
So I feel so bad for that. Still
oh
to this
man,
day.
freaking her out for no reason.
Yeah, but
it's like, what's that going to do?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I tore some ligaments. I had some bruising, and Garmont actually sent me some new boots, so that was cool. And then we put Tony and Montez in for an RCOM with Valor, with a V device, so which is pretty rare. Like you don't get V devices typically for non-theater, like not, things. So we put him in for that. He literally saved my life. So that dude's my guardian angel.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. Well, I'm glad that he was there to bang on the freaking hatch, dude.
Yeah, me too.
That could have been real bad. And that kid would have been living with that on his conscience for the rest of his life. You know?
My buddy Christian Hayden actually smoked him in the motor pool for like 2 hours after that. And then he made him call me.
But that's the thing that's unfortunate though, is like he didn't know.
Yeah. It was really that first guy's fault that brought him
him forward, but he also didn't know that you were there either. What should have happened is that driver should have been like, I know that my guys are getting up there and have not told me to move yet.
Yeah, let me check and make sure they're okay. That should have been what was inside of his head. I don't care what this other person telling me to do is. That guy's not my team leader. Exactly. He's not my squad leader. He's not my whatever, my NCO. Yeah. Let me check and make sure my dudes are okay first. Yeah, that's a word. That's a very important lesson, man. You gotta this is like one of the reasons why communication is so important, especially in operations and stuff like that, because like it's also one of the reasons why, you know what a GOT is? Yeah. Yeah, where like when you're like where you're going, who's coming with you, how long you're going to be gone for, things like that. Actions to take if I'm not back by a certain time. Yeah, that kind of stuff. There's a reason that kind of stuff is in place, because you need deliberate instruction, or you need to have an understanding that, hey, I know what's going on, and unless there are certain conditions that are being set, I'm not doing something, or I'm going to do something. And it goes to show you, like, even though we're not in a combat theater, like lives are still on the line.
100%. You're still dealing with dangerous machinery,
Yeah.
dangerous equipment. It's like if you don't understand how to, how to perform, immediate actions and remedial actions on machine guns, for example, like you could kill somebody
round blow up in your face.
involuntarily. I just saw a video yesterday that I haven't shared because it's like, it'll probably get me a community guideline violation with my luck. But basically it's a video of this Army soldier, happens to be a female, doesn't necessarily matter. Could have been anybody. Yeah. And she started firing an M240 Bravo, and the bipods were sitting on top of this like berm of this pit that she was standing in. Started firing, and it pushed it back. And then she kept firing, and it went down into the pit that she was standing in while it was firing rounds. Only fired a couple more while it was in the pit because she let go of the finger or the trigger, luckily. But that could have easily ricocheted and shot her in the leg and hit her femoral, and she would have been done, or somebody else that was behind her, terrifying. And I'm sure I saw everybody in the entire freaking military started posting that video as soon as it went viral. I think my buddy that runs the page, Burt Corp, posted that first, and then everybody else started like ripping it from him and posting it. But we do an inherently dangerous job. If you're working with weapons, you're working with heavy machinery, you're doing a dangerous job, and you have to keep your head on a swivel, man. Yeah. Like you got to pay attention when you're doing that stuff. You have to, because like people's lives are on the line. Yep. So anyway, I appreciate you sharing that story. That's going to be, I think that's a valuable story. There's some valuable lessons to learn from that.
For
sure. Okay. So that was in Fort Riley, Kansas.
Yeah.
Did you get an opportunity to deploy from Fort Riley?
Just to Korea.
Yeah.
We did a year in Korea.
A year as a unit from Fort Riley.
Yeah. As a temporary, like rotational unit. And I don't want to say the D word because it's not a deployment. Like we were in a forward environment. We were in like zone 1, I think they call it. So we were just south of the DMZ. We're like the furthest north stationed rotational unit, like south of the DMZ.
I still call it a deployment because you're not at your home station and you left with your unit. Like it's not a combat; it's like a non-combat deployment.
They did give us
but that's fine.
duty pay because how close to the DMZ we were in North Korea, and then at one point, the North Koreans there was like they said it would happen, and we didn't believe them.
This?
It was 19 or 20. So it was like during like kind of COVID time.
Yeah.
While we're shooting on Rodriguez Range.
I've been to Rodriguez.
Okay, cool.
I went to Rod Range during my second deployment. Nice. So which was a non-combat deployment. It's part of what the Marine Corps calls the unit deployment program. So they would fly us from Hawaii and they would fly us out to Okinawa. We would be based in Okinawa. We'd be living in barracks out there like we would in Hawaii, but we're in Okinawa. We'd be training. And then occasionally we would go to Korea. Or we would go to mainland Japan. Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. It wasn't in 2017. It was my first deployment. I went to Korea. My first deployment. It was 2015. Yeah. I think we were there in October of 2015. And at first we went to Gangwon-do and Gung-hao-ri. And then we did Incheon landing reenactment with the Korean Marine Corps. Yeah. And then from there we went to Osan Air Force Base and we kind of staged. Actually, sorry. No, we did go to Osan. We went to Rodriguez Story Live Fire Complex first. Stayed there for like a week, did the battalion assault course that they have there. Yeah. And then we went to Osan afterwards and stayed there for most of the remainder of our time out there. But anyway, so you guys went to Rodriguez, did some ranges there. I've been on those ranges.
Yeah,
so I don't
we had to stop training because there was, they said there were North Korean, like, spies or whatever that would come and like observe, like they would have binos and like observe our shooting and our ranges. So the range would go cold and stuff like that. And then at one point they actually dropped leaflets on us, not at Rod Range, but like in the city. That was right. Yeah. And it said like F you America or something like that. Like, it was like little messages. And then another interesting like side story is that they were, it was during election time and South Korea loved Trump so much that they had Trump rallies in Korea. Not us, like not Americans. There was solely just South Koreans having Trump rallies.
That's wild.
And I'm like, brother, you can't even vote. Like you're tracking this, right? And they love Trump so much.
I wonder why they loved him so much.
I don't know. I really don't know.
That'd be interesting. You know, they love Charlie Kirk over there apparently too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I saw that there was like evangelical school, like really big Christian community down there in South Korea, which is surprising. I wouldn't expect that. I would expect more like Taoism and Taoism.
Yeah. I feel like they're very westernized. In South Korea.
I mean, I think part of that's
the fried chicken's place on every other corner too.
Yeah, and their fried chicken there is good, man. Really good. You know, the one thing I remember very clearly was when I was in Seoul. We went to that Lotte World Mall that's in Seoul.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
The big mall.
Yeah,
they had an IMAX theater up there that was like they had like. I think they were saying that it was like 4D. I don't know what 4D means.
Like sprinkle stuff.
I guess I don't know what that means. Yeah. But anyway, like the cashiers and like the people at the ticket booths like could speak fluent, perfect English, better than most Americans speak English.
Yeah,
I was like,
I believe it.
I was like, wow, we're a bunch of bumbling idiots. Because like most of us don't know how to speak a second language, let alone speak a second language in such a way that sounds better than most people in your country.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with that. That was something that was very impressive to me. And I don't know if that's just because culturally, like they've kind of taken on a lot of traits that we have or what, but
yeah.
But anyway, so you were out there for a year and you guys did Rodriguez. Did you go anywhere else up there?
No. And I was going to say, like you explained the Marine Corps thing, the Army, I don't know if they still do it, but they would call it Pacific Pathways. And they would hit like Korea, Japan, and different areas. And they would do like a few days of training at each site and then jump sites.
Really?
So yeah, but yeah, we went there for a year and we were basically every unit that's there rotationally at that base, is essentially like the quick reaction force if something were to happen with North Korea. So
yeah, like
they walk you through, the QRF, they walk you through like, okay, we have to evacuate the civilians to Seoul and then they're going to do this. And then we're going to move forward here, fighting positions here, like 2nd Battalion is going to do this. So we would have to like practice those things. Obviously nothing ever happened like that.
Yeah.
But that's essentially that was our job.
Did you guys stay on Rodriguez the entire time in those barracks?
No. Well, for our whole gunnery, yeah, we were there for like, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks. And
was there barracks. That ramen noodle place there still?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you get some of those ramen?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, that noodle shop was so clutch. That was such a morale boost going to that spot.
And then there was a coffee shop too, like
the coffee shop,
Paris or something.
Yeah, it's right there next to the barracks, and we only stayed there for a few days shooting machine guns down there's a range where there's like 2 roads that run parallel next to each other all the way down.
Yeah, we were on that range.
Yeah, so we went down that because we had trucks too. I was in a combined anti-armor team, which was like basically like a mounted infantry platoon essentially, and we were like the heavy guns for the battalion. We were driving down, basically we'd do like, but essentially vehicle buddy rushing.
Bounding.
Bounding. We were doing bounding down there and just like engaging targets down there. Yeah. But we stayed in those barracks that were right there for the time that we were there for, the brief time that we were there. We actually drove there from Seoul. We were, not Seoul. Was it Seoul? No. So we were in, because we went back to Rodriguez. We'd left as a battalion and then, we went to Osan, and then as a platoon, we left Osan 1 week and drove up to Rodriguez just as a platoon to do machine gun ranges. And then we stayed at those barracks while we were there, shot the machine gun ranges, and we would get ramen at that little ramen shop. It was great. There's another place up there called not Rodriguez. There's like a little ranger training facility that's right on the border. You cross over that bridge that's laced with explosives. You know what I'm talking about?
Is it like the red something? Or
I don't remember what the name of the base was.
I was at Camp Hovey, Casey, like just south of that.
Yeah.
That's where we stayed most of the time.
Stayed on Camp Casey.
Yeah, it was like the ghetto. Like
Camp Casey's the ghetto?
Camp Casey was the nice part and Camp Hovey was for the rotational units.
Oh, so it's kind of ghetto.
Like but I mean, it's understandable. Like we're all just temporary.
Yeah. Were you in barracks?
Yeah, they had barracks. There was like E1 to E5 barracks. There was E6 barracks and then E7 and lieutenant's barracks, like the officers and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was weird how they kind of say. But then like the and I guess rightfully so, like the E7s and at that time I was an E6, but the E7s and the junior officers and captains and stuff, they would get like they were like mini apartments, and we were just stuck in these like little tiny barracks. But
we stayed in barracks. on Osan. Yeah, but they were condemned. They just the Air Force was no longer living in them, so we were there. Like, you guys can live there, but we got lucky, honestly, because like our company stayed in barracks, and like Echo Company was sleeping in squad tents outside in a motor pool.
Yeah, like a GP medium or something.
Yeah, like GP mediums. Yeah. They were living in down there, so I was like, yeah, we got it made to shape, bro. We got it good. I've got a shower, a bed. I'm inside. Like, it was chill, and then we would go to like the chow hall there, which was like crack, because like we got spoiled. Yeah. We got spoiled on Army chow and Air Force chow, because like we were eating like, I mean, I don't know if you guys ever referred to those little baby sausages as baby. Yeah. Yeah. We call them that too. Yeah. I don't know why that's what everybody calls, because like the little babies, they're like little smokies, basically. They kind of look like that. And then powdered eggs. That was what we were eating like for most of the breakfast. But like being on Osan, you could go to the chow hall and get like an omelet, and some like fried eggs. They had a whole assortment of all kinds of breakfast foods. And then lunch and dinner is the same thing. It was really good quality food. Hell, the Ranger training base that we were at for the Army, way out in the middle of nowhere, off by themselves, small, little, teeny tiny footprint. Like, you literally cross a bridge that's laced with explosives to get there. Yeah. Their little chow hall that they had there, the little DFAC, they had ribs and fried chicken one night. And we were like, we had the dinner and we all walked outside and we were like, I feel like we're getting robbed. Yeah. Like, what? These guys are eating ribs and fried chicken on the border of North Korea. Like, and we've been eating like dog food. Yeah.
It clear out your system pretty quickly.
I was like, it was the funniest reaction to it was one of my machine gunners just like had this look of just shock on his face. He's just like, I feel like I'm getting absolutely screwed. Yeah. Like, these guys are eating fried chicken and ribs, bro. It was so funny. I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, but man, it was just, it was a funny experience. But anyway, so you did your time out in Korea, you did some training out there. And then you came back to Kansas and
came back to Kansas, did like 2 more NTCs for nothing. Like, usually you go to NTC if you're like going to deploy somewhere, but honestly, they just want to keep, they were sending us to NTC to keep us qualified to deploy somewhere.
In case you were able to.
Yeah. Because we were a QRF for some CENTCOM zone and somewhere, but obviously we didn't go anywhere. And then from Fort Riley, I was going to get out because it was like shortly after post-COVID time. And I was like, man, I'm just kind of done with this. But then I was done. I felt like I was done being a Cap Scout. Like, I was tired of it. So I was like, well, I'm going to reclass and I'm going to do something else. And I was like, what has a bonus? And they were like, well, I'll tell you what doesn't have a bonus. You become a military police. And I was like, no. I'm not gonna do that. No.
Not even a question. Next. Absolutely not. Next.
And then they were like, well, this one has a nice bonus. Do you know what ADA is? And I was like, what the heck is
Air Defense?
Air Defense Artillery. And I had no clue. I had no clue what they did. And I saw the bonus. I was like, sure. Yeah, sign me up for that. And I was like, I'm just done doing this. So essentially I switched over to ADA. And then I became an E7 but then like, that's when like social media started happening for me.
Yeah.
And I left Fort Riley for Fort Hood and where I'm at now. Yeah. No, well, the school is at Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
So did you go to Fort Sill to go to the ADA school?
Yeah, I went there.
You graduated from the school. Was that difficult school?
Not really. Truthfully, not really? It was pretty easy. It was actually kind of boring. Like, it was a lot of, it was a lot of sitting around and like.
Did you have to study a lot for things?
A few things like here and there, but mostly it was just like your run of the mill, like just familiarization again. Familiarization, just making sure that like somebody off the street that's somewhat qualified can do it. And then once you get to your unit, like is when you learn stuff
at Fort Hood. So that's where you went after that.
Yeah. Shortly after that,
where you're currently at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was kind of weird. Like, I don't know, Fort Sill was an interesting place. Fort Hood is, I don't hate it. A lot of people, like the whole Vanessa Guillen thing happened there shortly before I got there. There's the Fort Hood shooting, I think in like 2007 or so. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that has happened at Hood where that leaves a bad taste, but truthfully, like I enjoy it now. Yeah. First time I went to Hood was TDY. I went there for ALC as a Cap Scout in 2000, like 16 or so and 17. And I actually I've never told anyone my MOS on the internet. So this is actually the first time I'm actually telling people. And, our friend, Larry Flores Barrier, AKA, used to be known as Lord of Lips.
Yeah.
He always said I don't talk about my MOS because people will judge you immediately. They will decide.
He's a Cav Scout guy?
No, he's infantry. And,
is he?
But he doesn't talk about it because he was like, people will see what you have sewn on your chest or what you have or don't have on your shoulders for deployment patches and then your MOS. And they will decide then and there how much to respect you or how much to not respect you. So that's why he just never talked about it.
I think that's honestly pathetic, weak-minded people usually. And people that typically are really what that is it's people that are very insecure and people that are comparing themselves to other people all the time. I was talking to a former Delta Force operator about this, who's obviously like Billy Badass. He's been injured in combat. He's executed a bunch of raids. He's done a ton of high vis, or not high vis, but
high profile stuff,
as a tier 1 top of the cream of the crop.
Yeah. It's in the news and he was a part of that.
Yeah. And he is dude. And he said the biggest problem in the military that we have is self-worth. Yeah. And we are always comparing ourselves to other people, and everybody's comparing themselves to you and comparing you to them. And a lot of people don't like you if you haven't done certain things or if you have done certain things. Yeah. And it's honestly a huge waste of time, because while they're spending all this time talking about other people, they could be doing something productive, which is what I've chosen to do instead. I still get hate from people different pages on social media that for some reason they have some obsession with me or something like that. And I'm sure that there's other people that get the same thing. I'm not unique in that way, but and they, I honestly, I just feel sorry for a lot of those people because they are not fulfilled, because people that feel fulfilled or that are working very hard towards something don't have time to worry about what other people got going on. They're just focused on mission and dedicated. And so, honestly, I hope that those folks, whoever they are, find their way, because it's honestly what a sad way to live, comparing yourself to other people based on what they have sewn on their uniform.
And at the end of the day, I can only go where the Army sends me.
Yeah. You don't have a choice where you go or what deployments you get or any, you can't just be I want to experience combat. Send me to whatever, Iraq or whatever. Yeah.
And I also tell people online, like you mentioned, there's a ton of haters out there. It usually comes from a place of jealousy. And all the people that have quote unquote hated on me, they don't know me. We've never met. And some of them
same thing for me too.
I've met some of them, and then we end up becoming friends, because then they actually get to know me. And I tell people every bridge needs a troll. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of that too, where they haven't ever met me. And so they're quick to judge. And I've also had people that I thought were really good friends, like I said, that turned out to be
that hurts.
Very evil. Maybe not evil. Maybe it's just jealous and envious, or just maybe they just didn't have good mentorship when they were growing up. More than likely, that's probably the case. Is they just didn't have the mentorship that I was fortunate enough to have, and so they turn that into whatever level of hate or animosity, And it's unfortunate, because I want everyone to be successful, even the people that don't like me, because I don't wish ill will on people, But either way, that's when you first started social media. It was down after you'd reclassed to ADA. And when did you start doing your current billet, which is you're not actually doing ADA,
right? Yeah,
you're doing actual social media stuff.
It was kind of shortly after I got there. I started doing social media, and it quickly progressed, and the Army took note of it. And, I talked to people, and they're like, yeah, you're on some whiteboards at the Pentagon. You're we're talking about you. Cause I'd cover, military news and veterans benefits and, stuff like that. It's pretty safe. And I always stay apolitical. I'm always in the middle. I'm not going to tell you
nonpartisan
what to think. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what I think. Sometimes I will if it's just safe stuff.
Yeah. Safe stuff.
Yeah. But for the most part, I want you to have the information, and then I want you to have that discussion.
That's how I feel in the comments.
Too. And I even get hate for that. Oh yeah, those guys they don't want to tell you how to feel. I'm but and then you get upset when we do tell you how we feel. And then you say that we're trying to gear you towards.
You can't make everybody happy. In fact, you're not going to make most people happy. I get people that try to tell me I'm a liberal. I get people that try to tell me I'm MAGA. I got people that try to tell me that I'm pretending to be apolitical when it's obvious what my agenda is. It's bro, I'm going to have my own inherent biases. And I do tend to have I want to own machine guns. You know, I don't really tell a lot of people I'm a like staunch libertarian. I am a independent. I am registered as an independent. I've also never taken money from any political organization because I don't want people to think that I'm associated with that.
With either of them.
I've got friends in both parties. I have a lot. I've probably got more friends in the conservative side just because, you know, I have a lot of feelings that are similar to some of those, but I also have a lot of friends who are Democrats. Like, I don't care what I don't make my judgment about somebody based on their political affiliations. I make my judgments about people based on like how they treat other people. That's like the first and foremost, most important thing to me. But anyway, so you're going to get hate no matter what you do, whether it's good, bad, and different. They don't know. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. But that's when people started noticing, you know, that you were doing social media. And then how did you get into the whole thing?
Yeah. So, you know, I was doing those stories and stuff. And then somebody at the Pentagon reached out and they basically expressed to me that the Pentagon, the DoD as a whole, mainly the Army.
Oh, the Department of War?
The Department of War. Yeah.
Department of War.
Yeah. They were like, hey, we want to lean into content creators for retention, recruitment, and like messaging. Yeah. And what does that look like? And we talked about, you know, I still want to have my own views and my own opinions, and I don't want to be puppeteered by the Pentagon. Yeah. And we came to some agreements, and then, you know, there was a working group, and then most of the working group got doged. Like Elon came in and he was like, nope, like that's wasteful. This is wasteful. Yeah. It got snipped. And, so that working group kind of shifted to a different working group, and we were still doing things. I would go TDY for the Army, and I would do certain events and make some videos. And, but I always had the ability to say no. So if they're like, hey, can you do this? And if I said no, that was like, okay. And they would just leave it alone. So, but then in other areas where, and mainly to promote, to get information out, like if a huge Army policy changed or a really cool project that the Army was doing, if they needed that to get out, they would be like, hey, can you kind of cover, like if we give you the information ahead of time, could you kind of curtail a video around that? And then you get to break the news with us. And I'm like, yeah, if it benefits us as service members and our families or the veteran community, then yeah, for sure. So we started doing that. And now we're kind of stuck in like a legal battle because like you can't use service members to like tell your story technically if they still wear the uniform. So we're still working together, but just kind of at a distance. And there's nothing like official. So I don't want to say like, this is not an official on paper program.
Yeah, it's like a handshake.
Yeah, it's like a handshake, and we're doing things still within the legal limits, you know, whatever that looks like for whatever
thing
event.
To navigate. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this event, like the Military Influencer Conference. I'm here not to represent the Army. Like I'm here, TikTok brought me
as a person.
Yeah.
As an
and
individual.
I took leave. Like anytime I'm doing something with an outside organization, I always take leave. Yeah. Because I don't, you know, I don't want to.
Or special dip. Liberty.
Yeah.
One of the two. Yeah.
Yeah. Which in the Army we call, you know, 4-day pass or a pass, you know?
Yeah. So that's the same for me. Like if it's a professional event of some kind, I try to take special liberty because like that's what special liberty's for.
Exactly.
Typically I try to save leave for like personal things that are like just for me. But I don't whenever I'm on like out of town, it's for a professional reason. It's not because I'm taking a vacation. I haven't been on a vacation since 2021. So,
and now I've elected to go through a medical retirement now because I've had 2 major back surgeries in my career. It just, back's been blown out a couple times. And, you know, it's really hard. Like half of my back is fused now, like my lower back. And,
okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
tough.
Dealing with that, it's really hard. And, I'm just kind of done.
How'd you injure your back?
The first time was just like regular training. I was like jumping out of vehicles and with like rucksacks on my back and just like hard impact things that eventually added up to a lot more things. Yeah. And then the second time was, I feel that it was because there were so many instances where like, it could have been that, sure. We were rappelling and I fell on my butt, basically like seated
on your tailbone,
on my tailbone. And I remember that. And it was in Alaska and there was like, I couldn't really see anything like the white snow and ice on the ground, and it's ice. Like there's permafrost in Alaska. Yeah. It's not soft. Like you think snow and you think soft, not hard. Soft. It's basically hitting a wall of bricks. Yeah. So yeah, that was that. And then I have like arthritis in my neck and I have a disc that I need replaced in my neck. And like I have torn labrum and a cyst on my shoulder. Like there's just so many little things that are like bugging me.
Yeah.
And that stopped me from doing things. I still I still passed the AFT, the Army Fitness Test. It's changed like 3 times now.
Yeah.
What you guys would call the PFT.
PFT. Yeah.
And what's your C?
So you've got a
CFT?
PFT and CFT.
Yeah.
The physical fitness test, combat fitness test.
Yeah.
And those have pretty much been the same for, I mean, they've changed like the tests themselves and the measurements have changed, but the workouts and the things that you're doing are pretty much have been the same for a while.
So I can will my body through those tests and pass. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I don't want to, I'm abusing myself and I'm just kind of done.
That's kind of how I felt about leaving the infantry. Like, I loved my time in the infantry. I spent 5 years there. I made some very good friends. I've still got friends that I communicate with to this day that are still in the infantry. I have a lot of respect for the things that guys do in the infantry. I put out while I was there. I worked my ass off. Mm-hmm. I never quit. I never gave up. Yeah. I made sure that I was always willing to carry the heaviest stuff. I was always willing to do the work if it was asked of me. I definitely was not the best infantryman by any means. There are guys that were like our seniors, super seniors, who are way better infantrymen than I'll ever be, probably. I would say I was average. But I did the best I could. But I also realized, hey, dude, I don't want to do this forever. This is like terrible for your body. It's destroying me. I was 27 when I got there. I've shrank an entire inch since I've been in the Marine Corps. An inch. I was 74 inches when I joined. I was 6'2". Jeez. I am 6'1". That's crazy. So that's how much spinal compression I've had from the heavy stuff that I was carrying around, because we did the craziest hike I ever did was, I think, 20 miles or 30 kilometers while carrying a 50 cal receiver, I would say
just the receiver of that is like
60 pounds. Yeah. It's like 60 pounds roughly. And then, so I pretty much carried that 50 cal receiver for, if I had to make an estimate, I think for about 20 kilometers out of the 30 kilometers that we hiked for. And then I think 5K, I carried just my rifle, and then 5K, I carried a tripod. So I had zombie feet afterwards. I mean, that's just one hike out of all of the hikes we've done, and this is just me complaining. Like, at the end of the day, like, it needs to happen because you need to be able to walk long distances in the military, in the infantry. Cause what if you don't have transportation? You have to figure it out. So I get it.
And I have a wife and 4 kids too.
Yeah.
And
it's a young man's game too.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't want to be a 39-year-old dude that's doing that stuff and exactly. Can't hike with your kids. So, I get what you're saying about you got a family, you want to prioritize them. I understand, different people are different places in life. And if I was 18, man, and I didn't have any responsibilities or was married, dude,
too easy.
Awesome opportunity. Yeah, you change your whole life, meet tons of people, make tons of connections that'll be life lasting and potentially life changing, travel the world, do so many different things. This is such a good opportunity for young folks who don't know what they want to do.
Yeah. I still encourage the military.
100%. 100%. I wouldn't change it. I would not change it. I wouldn't go back and change the experiences I've had. Yeah. But I think there's the need for change for me. And, I still have a lot of decisions that I need to make about what the future holds for me as well. But, I can understand where you're coming from. I know a lot of folks that feel the same way, but, anyway, so you're still then in Fort Hood.
Yep.
For now. And then, how much longer you got?
I think, if I'm being honest with myself, I think I should be out by summer 2026. Okay. I'm hopeful for possibly spring, but I'm not sure. But then after that, either it's a weird spread, but I'm not going back to California.
Yeah, it's too expensive.
Yeah, it might be either Idaho or Georgia.
Georgia wouldn't be bad. I would stay East Coast. Although Idaho's not bad. I'm supposed to be visiting Idaho this year. Okay. I'm not going to say when on here, but I'm supposed to be visiting Idaho this year. There's some good folks out there too. And it's country, great gun laws. It's relatively cheap. Yeah. You can do a lot of cool stuff out there. I don't know. So you got some choices to make, I'm sure it'll work out at least, even if it's not exactly what you want, I'm sure you'll get 70% what you want. You should usually that's typically how life for me has gone. Is 30% of the time you're not going to get what you want, but if you work hard for it, then usually about 70%.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, exactly. You can't always get 100% of what you want all the time. That song Pink Floyd. You can't. Oh no. that's Rolling Stone. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can't always have what you want. But anyway, so I appreciate, I think this is a good wrap up point. I just kind of wanted to get through that last bit, kind of like where you're at right now. I know it's been a crazy past couple of years here with everything. Obviously social media changed the whole game. Like all the stuff going on there has changed the whole game. But anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to come here. I know this was a very early morning. We got here at 7 a.m. This is not typical time to film a podcast, but I couldn't get another time in this spot. And I wanted to get one more here at this good location before
that's great.
We left town to go back home and stuff. But anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to come here so early and do this. And I wish you the best in your journey, wherever that takes you guys. And I want to make sure before we leave here that, we give you one of these.
Thank you.
There. Yeah. That's mine.
That's awesome.
That have had made this. They're serialized. So there's a serial number on the side. I'm not sure what each one of them is. They all get mixed up, but
funny story about coins. You
just had some made too, right?
I gave your wife my last coin.
Did you?
We exchanged coins. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I'll have to mail you one.
Okay. That's fine.
I'll have to mail you one.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah. But again, I appreciate your time and, we'll see you, I'm sure, at another event sometime here in the future.
Yeah.